Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Board Boys podcast. This is a bonus episode with the emphasis on Beau, because this is your board boy Rob, joined by...
Board boy Beau.
Yeah, there we go. And today, Beau, we are talking about Jurassic World, the Legacy of Isla Nublar. Insert some cool Jurassic Park music here, right?
Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Nice. So, do you like dinosaurs?
Of course.
Yeah, you like the Jurassic Park movies? We've seen them. You've seen them all, haven't you?
Especially the Indominus Rex.
Oh, you're a big Indominus Rex fan?
Also Indoraptor.
Oh, you love the Woo's creations, don't you?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give a rundown of how you play Jurassic World, the Legacy of Isla Nublar. I'm going to kind of give the rundown, and then we're going to talk about the game spoiler-free for a couple minutes, and then we're going to give a pause, and then we're going to go into some hard and heavy spoilers for this game, in case you're never going to play it, and maybe you just want to know kind of what's going on with it.
I am not doing any spoilers.
Well, then I guess it'll just be me, huh? So, Jurassic World, the Legacy of Isla Nublar is a cooperative game. It is also a legacy game, which, if you're unfamiliar with that, means the game changes as you go. This game is played over 11 total games, I think 12 games, including the prologue. Every time, and then during the game, you'll be scratching like stuff off of cards, and you'll be ripping cards up, and you'll be marking things down and unlocking new cards. You'll be putting stickers on the board. Some legacy games are not replayable. This one is replayable at the end. You can actually replay the last mission over and over again to your heart's desire. And basically, there are 9 actions you can do per round, and you play 5 rounds. And every round of the game, you do these 5 things. First, you reveal a round card, and sometimes that has an instant effect. Sometimes it gives you an objective to do for the round. Then you scout sectors, and you just put out these cards face down, which you'll flip over later in the round. Then the meat of the game is taking actions. And you do 9 different actions, and depending on... We played this game mostly at 2 players. We played it 3 a couple of times with Mom, and we played it with 4 players with Tim and Jake once, I think, right?
Yep.
And no matter how you do that, you always are dividing up the same 9 actions. And basically, you can run around the board. You can lead other people around the board.
You can lead dinosaurs around the board.
Yeah, you can herd dinosaurs. You can search outdoors for... It lets you get items and lets you see those cards that we put face down, those sector cards we put down at the beginning of the round, which will kind of tell you how the dinosaurs are going to move and potentially give you an item.
Yep.
You can rest if you're indoors and heal up, and you can trade items. You can also do something called field research, which helps you unlock more things during the game.
You can only do it when you're by a dinosaur, like when you're in the same space with a dinosaur, then you can research it.
That's true. Then there's building actions. You'll be able to go inside of buildings and do actions there. And then there are card actions, so there'll be some actions on some cards that you have to do. After you're done with your actions, you reveal all the sector cards one by one, and you activate all the dinosaurs in all the sectors, following all their dino powers. And then that can cause them to move around. They can hunt you or other dinosaurs or followers that are on the board. And then anytime anything dies, you have to flip over these consequence tokens. And if you ever get a 5 total consequence token value, you lose the game.
And there's goats.
Yep, they can attack goats, right? And then you end the round and you basically clean it up and you do it again. And you do that 5 times. And no matter if you've completed all your objectives or not at the end will depend if you win. So if you complete all your things you have to do by the end of round 3, you still have to live through the end of round 5.
Yeah.
Right? Which is one thing we kind of messed up the first time we played during the prologue. But the thing is, you can play the prologue as many times as you want to kind of get a feel for the game, right?
Yep.
I think we only played it one time and we kind of got into it.
Yeah. Yeah, we only played it one time.
Yeah, I think that that was probably enough for us. And no matter what, if you win or lose, you always move on to the next game. So you don't. It's not like Pandemic Legacy where you kind of get to do a redo. So you're only really going to play every adventure once. There's a bunch of sealed envelopes and boxes in the box, and
you don't open those until you finish the one you're in. Then you can open the next one in order.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is much of a spoiler, but basically in every envelope is a. I really like the art style in this game.
It's like a storybook.
Yeah, they're all like comic book style, and they kind of just they tell you the episode you're on and the story of what's going on, and they give you the prologue of what you need to do to set up, and then they give you the adventure setup, and then it gives you some maybe different extra rules, and then it gives you all your objectives you have to complete. And so then every game basically has its own storybook, essentially.
Yeah, and each of the storybooks have like a little comic page in it. There's like a little comic box in there that says some stuff.
But let's do some initial thoughts. What was your initial thought of Jurassic World?
Well, I liked it because there was like dinosaurs, and also because of the movements and different cards that there were, and the different things you had to do to get the win in that game. And sometimes you might not have to do them, but then a card in there that you flip over, a round card, might make you have to do it.
Yeah. Yep, that is true. You're not entirely sure of what all your objectives are, and a lot of those round cards have a consequence token thing on the bottom, and if you don't complete the round card by the end of that round, you have to flip over a consequence token, which is bad.
Yeah.
So my initial thought was I really liked the style, the art style of everything. The rule book is pretty good, and then it took me a while to get used to it, but I really like they have this card. It's a bunch of cards with a punch out in the corner, and it's on a ring. And as you go through it, you add and remove cards out of here, and basically they're in alphabetical order, and it lets you just quickly go to a particular rule if you're looking for like a keyword or something. By the middle, like after 2 or 3 games, I didn't really even need them anymore because the rules were pretty straightforward. But whenever you learn something new or some new card or new thing came into the game, these cards were handy to reference to make sure we were doing everything right. Some other pros for me, the miniatures are really cool looking. The art on the board is good. I love legacy games, and I think it does everything right with a legacy game. There's lots of cool scratch offs to do, and our version of the game came with a raptor claw to scratch it all off, which I thought was neat.
The dinosaurs are like full-on figures. The characters that you play as are more like little tokens that you put on stands.
Yep, they're little standees.
So the dinosaurs, I would say, are more cool looking than the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the dinosaurs kind of count as characters, but...
Well, yeah, that's a little spoiler, too, for us, right? What, how about, you got any other pros? I mean, I like the action point system. Like I said, the rules were straightforward. It was a challenging cooperative game.
You're all about those rules, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to like about this one. The box was big enough to store all the tokens.
We didn't need to print any...
Print like a player guide or something?
No, we didn't have to print like... We didn't have to 3D print
We didn't 3D print an insert for this one, did we?
Yeah, because the inserts were pretty sturdy the way they were.
I liked how everything that you needed for a particular game was in its own envelope, and so they really did everything right with the legacy stuff here. I think the improving your park was cool. You got to build fences and kind of build it the way you wanted to, and we didn't really run into any issues with it. Like there wasn't anything like built wrong. Like sometimes you might play a game and you get built into a corner where something weird might be happening in a legacy game, but that didn't happen.
There's the thing about the dinosaurs is that you don't have all of the dinosaurs at the beginning of the game. in different envelopes, it says you can in different things you scratch off, it says you can unlock like a carnivore or a herbivore or a woo's creation.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. There's that big sheet at the end of the game where you basically mark down how well you did. Did you win or lose? How many points?
Extra points did you get?
Yeah, extra points did you get to like buy stuff in the next round? And then whether you won or lost, you would get a reward for the next game. Man, it's going to be really hard to talk about this anymore without going into spoilers, I think.
Mostly, and I'm not talking about spoilers.
Okay, well, should we give most of my cons are going to be spoilers, I think. So do you have any cons that you could talk about? Anything you didn't like about the game that wouldn't be a spoiler?
No.
Okay. Then my final thoughts here on the Board Boys podcast.
Oh, and also, I don't really have any cons about it.
Here on the Board Boys podcast, we have a 3-boing rating scale. 3 being the best, 0 being the worst. Half boings are allowed. One time only, you can give out your 4-boing game. And a 0-boing game in the world of Jurassic World, I think, would be you're just at the kiddie. You're at the Jurassic World Center and you're petting the baby Triceratops, and a Velociraptor comes in and eats him.
Yeah.
Right in front of your face. That'd be mortifying. Then a 3-boing is you get to ride around the park on your own personalized T-Rex, and he's tame and won't bite you and eat you.
And a 4-boing is like you get to ride on an Indominus Rex.
Oh, man. And he won't eat you either?
Yeah.
Okay, will he eat anybody else, or can you control him not to?
You can control him.
Okay, good.
That would be a 4-boing.
Okay, great. For me, I would say Jurassic World started off at probably a 2.5-boing game, and by the very end, I think it dropped down to a 2 for me. And I'll get into that in the spoilers with some cons I had, but overall, I had a really fun time with this game.
I didn't really think about what he was talking about, but there were some pretty fun things about the game.
What's your rating?
3 boings.
Man, you love that one too, huh? Okay. Well, I mean,
you know we haven't played it after we finished it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't play a lot of games that many times, so, and you were always down to play the next game of it, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you do not want to hear any spoilers, you can jump off this shortened episode of the Board Boys podcast.
Like I am.
Nothing else for you now. But if you want to know more about Jurassic World and the stuff in the box, stay tuned. All right, we're back, and we're in the spoiler zone.
And I'm not helping.
You don't want to spoil anything?
No.
All right. Well, in this game, you can build your park any way you want. You get this budget, essentially, and so you can build roads, barriers. You can start the game with additional item cards. You can electrify your fences. You can train these park employees to make it better to work inside these buildings. Hire help, upgrade your barriers, start the game with some goats so they eat that. You can also do these monorail stations that let you like bounce around the park. Also, every time you do an objective in a game, you get the ability to unlock more cards from the item box, which I thought was cool. And so as we played every game, we got more and more cards. Also, at the end of every game, at least at the beginning, we were mostly unlocking dinosaurs. And since we were winning, we were unlocking carnivores, which makes the game harder, so I think. And then if we were losing, we would have been unlocking herbivores, I think. The other thing I like is as you open up some of these envelopes, they give you these stickers that you can write on, then stick them on the envelope. So then you can start storing things in like envelopes that you'd opened up before. There's all kinds of carnivores in there. As you're playing the as you start playing the game, the first couple episodes are actually pre-Jurassic Park. Then you kind of play Jurassic Park, and then you kind of play through the next Jurassic Park sequels, eventually getting into Jurassic World. And the story kind of goes all the way through the second Jurassic World movie. And that's kind of the replayable game at the end, which is a pretty vastly different. The finale is pretty vastly different than the rest of the games, where you're trying to rescue dinosaurs off the island and there's lava everywhere, and you're trying to beat this other basically the bad guy, because he's trying to capture the animals too, and you're trying to rescue them. So you're kind of competing on him there against him there. And so you don't actually lose the game anymore on the finale by getting 5 consequences. Kind of started losing a little interest in the last couple of games until I got to the finale. And the finale was a vastly different game, and I had a lot of fun with that one. I think Jurassic World needs to be a slow burn. I know the Dice Tower did not like it. I think they played it really quickly and through there. And I think there is so much stuff to do in between games, which I find fun. Like, I love legacy games, and I love doing that stuff, unlocking, doing this, doing that. Beau was less interested. He wanted to see the new dinosaurs and help put the stuff in the park. But I kind of handled everything else. The other thing, my biggest con for the game is it got a little repetitive with the buildings, and the size of the game got a little unwieldy. You start off the game like where you can kind of go in the Discovery Center, and it has this little mini game where you're moving around tokens. And then there's the Creation Lab where you're also moving around tokens trying to do patterns. And then there's a Control Center, which I guess that comes out later. And then there's like the maintenance building. So after a while, there'll be weather that knocks the energy out in the park. And before you can do things in buildings again, which you need to do to accomplish your goals, you need to go turn the power back on. And the puzzles always change every time, but you're still essentially doing the same thing every game, which I guess is the same in a lot of games. But I don't know. I just wish they threw different wrinkles in it. So you might have to like rescue someone here, do this there. But the guts of the game were always the same. You always had to do a certain thing in the Discovery Center with these tiles, and do a certain thing with these tiles in the Creation Lab. And then you'd have to go turn the power back on. And then once you got the Control Center, you'd have to wire up, basically do this like little wire maze game to match sectors with the mainframe parts of the board. And so you'd be kind of sliding these things around. That's where the majority of the game was. Once you kind of, depending on at least what we were doing, we did so well at the game. We had our park so built up that the pens would try to keep, like, at the beginning, it's more like, I got to go control the dinosaurs. By the end, it's like, oh man, I got to go in here and do all of these building actions and things. And so after a while, it was almost like, well, let's just hope the dinosaurs don't break out of the cages and start eating each other. So let's try to do everything else. And that really worked out for us. I don't think we didn't lose a game. We won all of our games for this one. And they were all really, really close. And we got super lucky in some of them. There's a lot of luck in the game as far as how the tiles come out. So your puzzle could be way harder than ours were for the different things. We had one game where one of the things was going to be almost impossible, but then we lucked out with some cards and just the way that the characters were out. A huge pro for me in this game is how many characters there are. There are so many characters. I mean, like, I don't know the total off the top of my head. I'm looking here. There's probably like 16 to 20 total characters you can be at the end. Most of them are actually from the game. Some of them are like generic people. But you also can do a cool thing where you can add a legacy character to a game that's like a helper for you. And depending on how many of their abilities you've unlocked, their helper abilities even better. So, man, there's a lot to like about this game. There's also a lot to maybe not like about it. It was, like I said, fairly unwieldy towards the end. Got a little monotonous in the second half, I would say. But the last game was really where it was. Now, that being said, I know Beau had a lot of fun with it. And it's because I was managing all the monotony, and he really likes the dinosaurs and stuff. So it was a big win for us. I think this game is probably best at 2 players. I think at 4 players, you just don't get to do enough things to feel good. Like, you get to do 2 actions, and the actions are really quick hitters. It's not like anything crazy. And the biggest part of the game is getting the items, getting a lot of free actions through the items, getting vehicles, being able to pull guys around there. There's a lot of strategy to do here in Jurassic World. There weren't any huge twists in the game. One other cool thing was you kind of could morph some of the dinosaurs and splice them with different things. And that gives you some benefits. So you earn some points to build stuff in your park, but you just made a dinosaur more difficult to control. I accidentally turned a Triceratops into a meat eater and then gave it the ability to basically escape through fences. And then that guy got really unwieldy to try to manage. So it became very important to, like, a lot of the items would let you hurt a dinosaur, which would stop them from activating for the round. And it would either make you do a damage to them, but it would let you do it by yourself. Normally you needed 2 players to herd. So my final thought here is, if you have one other player that you really want to play Jurassic World with, give it a shot. I think it's totally worth it. Don't be shied away with some of the reviews. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in this box. Don't decide to binge it all in a weekend. I don't think that would be any fun. If you have a child, like Beau's 8 and he loved it. Loved it. You can hear he 3-boinged it. It was definitely worth it for me to keep it and to play through it. I had a lot of fun with him. So for us, I think Jurassic World is definitely something to give a shot. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Board Boys podcast. Go visit us at theboardboys.com. From there, you can get all our links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages. We have a Discord channel. Go check that out. We also have a Patreon. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more bonus episodes like this, maybe some more video content, some contests, some things you want to come up with the pipeline, donate to us there on the Patreon. Just show us your support. We appreciate it. Until next time, we hope you like board games.